On show 426, the BMW iNEXT, i4 and iX3, Daimler's eSprinter, and Tesla makes a splash in Europe. Well, coming up on today's show, those stories and many, many more. Welcome to the Tuesday, the 26th edition of the podcast. 26th of March, I should add. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, in fact, wherever you're listening. Around the world, welcome to EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here. I've been through every EV story that I can find today, and I've picked out the ones to save you time. And welcome to two new Patreon supporters. Hello to Bill Berger. Thank you very much for supporting. And new executive producer. In other words, $10 a month. Thank you very much. Exec producer Kiravan Yam. Thank you very much. You are added to our list of heroes on every single show notes. And if you check out today's show notes, you will see your name on there, sir. Thank you as always to myev.com for helping make this show. It is the world's first marketplace for buying and selling and learning about EVs. If you're in the USA, then enjoy having MyEV as a resource. So I mentioned BMW then. BMW wants you to know it's getting serious about electric vehicles. After all, it's not every day that a car maker sends out its very own spy shots attached to a press release. Divulging more details, says Christopher Smith at Motor1.com for the US edition. We're getting a bit more specific. The photos that BMW supplied, like I say, they are BMW's own spy photos, features an almost ready BMW iX3. In other words, the X3, the SUV, the very popular size, and the i4. It's a four-door crossover. Actually, no, the i4 is more of a saloon sedan style. It's the iNEXT, which is the crossover. Now, of those cars that I've mentioned, the iX3 is the one that gets our immediate attention. It's confirmed as entering production next year. I know we're still only in March, but next year it will enter production. That means we'll see the compact SUV revealed later this year. The solid kidney grille styling that you get on the front of BMW SUVs, in fact all BMWs really, that's their brand style, isn't it? And with an electrified version of an incredibly popular car, we know the iX3 is going to be a really good seller when it finally goes on the market. Uses the 5th generation BMW eDrive technology with a range of around 250 miles. We are looking forward to seeing more cars out with that BMW 5th generation EV technology. A little aside, by the way, the BMW Mini that's coming out. Of course, we just call it the Mini, but owned, of course, by BMW, using the previous generation technology, and I'm disappointed by that. The Mini Electric could be a big seller. I'm just pointing it out now because it's one of those things that's bothered me recently. It's not even on the market yet. I don't even know if it's gone into production yet, but the Mini Electric had the potential to cause a real stir, and it could still be a great car. But BMW aren't putting their latest EV technology into it, and that kind of bothers me somehow. Maybe it won't matter. It's still going to be a premium price, though. Well, BMW says that the iX3 will be able to access 150 kilowatt charging stations. It supports the rumours that we've heard that it can be fully recharged in half an hour. BMW does tell us that the saloon/sedan, the i4, will have a range, again, bumping it into a whole new territory. 373 miles for the i4. It's that saloon, sedan, low-slung form that I've never fully bought into the SUV and the crossover thing. So I think this would be my favourite. It looks like a gorgeous car. 0 to 62 in 4 seconds. The i4 begins production not next year. The i4 begins production 2021. So we are talking well off. Let's talk trucks, and Mack Trucks announced it recently displayed its 2nd generation zero-emission capable Class 8 truck at the California Air Resources Board's Low Carbon Transportation Showcase in Sacramento, California, says ttnews.com. Well, the plug-in hybrid electric truck is based on the Mack Pinnacle Axleback day cab, and it's been operating in service with a customer fleet for more than 12 months now. It's the 2nd generation truck, and it relies on a self-learning algorithm. So it records the load that's on board, the speed, the power, and the torque demand, and it analyzes all the data, and it combines it with its own GPS location. What that does, it identifies the zero emission zones where air quality is bad, the cities and towns that it's driving into, and it will maximize the all-electric operation. That's a really interesting way to take on the EV experience, the EV challenge. Why not just go full EV, may I possibly suggest. However, if they are making a hybrid, it's a curious way to use software, and I like it. I like learning about it. Let's move on to Daimler. Final winter tests show that the eSprinter is ready for a market launch now. According to a tweet series they sent out today, I've looked at the whole thread of the tweet that they sent out. With a range of 150 kilometres when configured with their 55 kilowatt-hour battery, the eSprinter is designed for the inner city, short radius distribution. I read that as Amazon runs. Last mile deliveries. When I buy something... This blows my mind, right? What did I buy the other night? I got the business to buy something. It was something that I needed. It was like a few pounds. I forget what it was, but I was like, okay, I can stump up some Patreon money for about £5 or £6 to pay for that. But I think I ordered it about 7:30, 8 o'clock on my personal Amazon Prime that we pay for, just for the sort of the telly and all that kind of stuff. Someone knocked early the next morning. It's Amazon on my driveway. I tell you. It's witchcraft. I don't know how they do it, let alone same-day delivery in the US. I think it's same-day delivery in some parts of the UK now. I've never tried that. I think it would blow my mind a little bit too much. But I think the eSprinter is perfect for those kind of use cases where it's stop, start all the time. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense to have a diesel van doing those runs. Daimler say, why did we go to Sweden for cold weather testing? For several weeks, the development team subjected the fully electric van to endurance testing. At temperatures as low as minus 30 degrees on icy roads and deep snow, the eSprinter provided its operability under extreme conditions. The eSprinter has an integrated fast charger, can recharge to 80% in 30 minutes. A big advantage on a daily routine of a van where it must reliably function whatever the temperature. The eSprinter was subjected to its final winter testing before it follows the eVito onto the market later this year. It's coming. I think I've seen the eSprinter online in YouTube videos, so we know it's already here. But it's super interesting to find out more about. It's going to be a panel van, a high roof, and up to 3.5 tons. So that's going to get lots of last mile jobs done. Well, a federal judge in San Francisco today dismissed for the second time a securities lawsuit filed against Tesla. It was brought by the Tesla shareholders, alleging that the company made misleading comments about the production status of the Model 3. Writes Alexandria for Reuters today. The US district judge sided with Tesla, though, granting the EV company dismissal of the lawsuit, which dates all the way back to October 2017. It said shareholders bought artificially inflated shares because Elon, not that the court did, but the lawsuit claimed that the shares were inflated because Elon Musk and other executives misled them with bullish, optimistic statements about the company, failing to disclose that they were woefully underprepared. The judge threw it out, but it's, I'm sure, almost 2 years of hassle that Tesla could have done without, and you do wonder why people file these kind of things, and you wonder why cases like this are not widely reported. The media widely reports any negative Tesla news, but I didn't see too many of them reporting, or maybe they buried it or did like a line on the fact that this was baseless and the judge threw it out. Well, further exploring Tesla Model 3 sales data in Western Europe, the industry analyst Matthias Schmidt today presented the registration numbers for 12 countries in February, says InsideEVs.com. Germany and Norway are the top two markets by volume. They followed that by the Netherlands, France and Switzerland. There is a high correlation between countries with the highest number of registrations and the highest number of orders. February was the first month of volume deliveries, a preview of what is happening all over Europe over the next couple of months. We know Tesla's deliveries are going to be increasing. The numbers for Norway alone are similar to all of Europe for the past month. There's still a few days to go still. On tomorrow's podcast, I'm pulling together some data. I want to know how it's all well and good saying that Tesla Model 3 sales data shows that it's doing well in Germany and Norway and the Netherlands and that they're selling well. But how do Teslas sell compared to the other big cars here in Europe? The German marques. I will dig into the data and bring you that on tomorrow's show. There you go. I think they call that a tease. A reason to listen tomorrow. Hey, I was looking at a Twitter thread today from Tom Randall from Bloomberg, who was looking at the European figures for Tesla. He points out, actually really interestingly, it's kind of obvious when you think about it, but I hadn't joined the dots. I knew it, but I just hadn't made the connection. It's actually only selling the expensive versions of the Model 3, which I knew, but I kind of forgot. And the average selling price is $72,000, and yet it's still selling in bucket loads. Now, the only country that reports its sales prices here in Europe in real time is the Netherlands, so we get that data from the Netherlands. $72,000 US dollars equivalent is the average selling price, and that's on track to outsell every other EV. I mean, the next two best-selling ones would be the VW Golf and the Nissan Leaf. That's public data available in the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and the Model 3 really only arrived in scale, in big numbers, mid-February, so that's a huge achievement. The website eu-evs.com gives you the data. Tesla's yet to introduce the long-range rear-wheel drive, the standard range versions of the car, the right-hand drive versions here in the UK. In the US, though, the standard range is by far the most popular, according to data from the Bloomberg tracker. Not that anybody, I don't think, has the standard range version. Has anyone got those? Has anyone got the $35,000? Have they delivered a single one yet? I'll look that up for tomorrow's show. That's two teasers now. There you go. Blimmin' heck, tomorrow's coming. I should do tomorrow's now. That is a big question for Tesla, the cannibalization of its other cars, like the Model S and the Model X. Now, Europeans, we do prefer smaller cars because, obvious reasons, the roads are smaller. I've lived in, plenty of places where the streets are pretty narrow and there's only room for parking on the street and one set of cars down the side of the road. And if you don't get your space, well, then you're missing out. Now we have a driveway and a garage and loads of space because, we've moved onwards and upwards over the years. But smaller cars are definitely more practical here in Europe. I say smaller, I mean like Model 3 size, just the Model X at times looks a little bit ridiculous on tiny little country lanes. Europeans do prefer these smaller cars. The substitution for Tesla buyers has been significant, says Tom Randall. That could strain the program and take a bigger hit to margins when Europeans are buying cheaper versions. Several people are pointing out that Q1 is a slow quarter for the S and the X. Even so, they are underperforming in Q1 in Norway and the Netherlands, but we'll carry on watching the data. Meanwhile, someone who drives a Model 3 in the US has been charging their car on the new V3 Superchargers. These are the super-duper quick ones. That's the unofficial name, I think, if you were chest check the labelling around the back. It's super duper quick on. According to this Tesla owner, the charging on their Model 3 got to 90% from 9% in just 35 minutes. So 9 to 50. So 9% when they turned up to the charger, 9% it got to 50% in 12 minutes. I don't think I can get out of the car, go to the restroom, by myself, nothing from McDonald's because I told my wife I'm being good lately. Maybe just a small McDonald's breakfast, and get back to the car in 12 minutes. If you can do that round trip in 12 minutes, well then your battery's at 50%. This Tesla owner, Model 3 owner, got to 60% in 15 minutes, 70% in 19 minutes, 80% in 25, and the final 10%, 90% in 35 minutes. Even then, look, I don't mind a 25-minute or a 30-minute stop. I feel refreshed after that. And then your battery is basically full. Most Tesla owners only go to sort of 80 or 90% anyway for battery health. Let's move on to a survey, and fleet managers could shift their buying power to support EVs in their droves if the government hiked the amount of cash on offer for the plug-in scheme here in the UK, according to the results of a new YouGov survey seen by Business Green. According to Madeline Green today, she says the survey, which was commissioned by the environmental law firm Client Earth, questioned 368 UK-based fleet managers and found that 3/4 would be more likely to invest in EVs if the government grant was doubled from £3,500 to £7,000 of free money. That's a little bit like asking your kids if they'd like more or less chocolate. Of course, they're always going to vote for more free money if you're a fleet manager. But very interesting, actually, about the role of, I thought I'd mention that today, the role of incentives in EV buying. Norway is particularly one that has good incentives for EV, but also punishes, it also penalises buying fossil cars. Does it both ways. And so it's always an interesting topic to keep on the back burner. Incentives and where you live in the world and what it does to demand. Finally, I thought a little energy story would be nice to finish off on today. 3/4 of US coal production is now more expensive than solar and wind energy in providing electricity to American households, according to a new study the UK newspaper The Guardian reports today. Mike O'Boyle. Mike is the co-author of the report for Energy Innovation, That's a renewables analysis firm. He said this, and I quote, "Even without major policy shift, we will continue to see coal retire rapidly. Our analysis shows that we can move a lot faster to replace coal with wind and solar. The fact that so much coal can be retired now shows we are off the pace. We've seen that we are at a coal crossover." I like that little label. We're at the coal crossover right now in many parts of the USA, and it's actually more widespread than many people think, O'Boyle said. He also said this, and I quote, "There is huge potential for wind and solar to replace coal while saving people money," end quote. And look, that's the key, isn't it? It's like, ideologically, it's one thing. I would love to see more people with renewables, solar on the roof, more wind farms. I know lots of people don't want wind farms because they say they make the countryside, they make our visual appearance of countries look horrible. I think wind turbines look fantastic when I see a bank of them. I love looking at them. Some people don't want to look out in their back window and see them. They claim they devalue their house. I live by the beach, by the way, down on the south coast of the UK, and it's a place called Bournemouth. Well, Dorset, really. And there was a scheme, a plan that went to the planners for an offshore wind farm. Not onshore, offshore. The UK is the windiest country in Europe, by the way. And the scheme failed because local residents, my neighbours, claimed that they wanted to look out to sea and not see wind turbines on the horizon. I mean, these things were scheduled to be miles off the coast. There'd be a tiny dot. But people still said they wanted a lookout of their £1 million houses. I don't live in a £1 million house. Their £1 million houses, and they didn't want to see on the horizon a wind farm, and the scheme was knocked back. I couldn't hate my neighbours anymore at that moment. Utterly disgusting. Not in my backyard. N-I-M-B-Y. NIMBYs, they're called. I mean, I get it if it's in a field outside of your back garden, you know, and you can hear the thing and you can see it and it's towering above your house. But out to sea, and they knocked it back. Well done, everybody. Well done. Let's move on to our question of the week, thanks to myev.com. The team there send us their question of the week each week, and it's a cracker this week. Thank you, guys. Keep your comments coming in, and it's this. If EVs are going to cost more than fossil cars in the short term at least, how much more of a premium are you willing to pay? I'd love to hear from you. Email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com. Get on the comments of YouTube and Facebook and myev.com. Thank you to 207 patrons of the podcast who keep me going. And if you want to download any of the previous episodes... Oh, by the way, if you are a patron, check out the show notes for exec producers and above. I put all your names in the show notes every single day. There are 425 previous shows online to listen to for free. More importantly, get the new ones first and free and automatically by hitting that subscribe button in whichever app is your weapon of choice. Please do leave a little review if you can do. It helps me out enormously with those algorithms, those recommended sections on the podcast apps. The more reviews that podcasts get, the more they recommend them. So that really helps me out. And of course, spread the word. Help me spread the word of EV News Daily. Hit share on your socials. Tell someone about this podcast if you think they would learn something, maybe even be entertained by it. Occasionally. Please do share this podcast and help me spread the word and make it bigger and better so more people can drive EVs. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow, and always remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.